everyone, and thank you for joining me for our board game unit. And in this particular project, I really wanted to focus on the creation of our own games that we can enjoy at home. And so I gave you some ideas for inspiration where you can, of course, use different materials, things that you can use at home, small blocks, things like that, where you can actually create your own game board for chess, checkers, things like that. And in this particular tutorial, I wanted to focus on really the essentials of a board game, what that really looks like and what that means. So as far as our goals in a board game, we have two. You are either going from point A to point B, or you want to collect materials. You want to collect something by the end of the game. So if you are choosing to do a traditional board game like that, this tutorial is for you, depending on what you've decided on. So the very first step that I would ask you to do is, if you have a cereal box at home, that's not being used, or if you're at the end of a box of cereal, you can use something like that as the backup of your game board. So what I did was I took one of my old cereal boxes and I trimmed around the edges. I went down the side, and you may want to get a grown-up's help with that because it's sometimes a little bit tricky to get the corners. And then once you've trimmed off the outside, then it gets a little bit easier because then it's just a rectangle. Okay, so that was the very, very first step, was just creating a mat or board. Then I went ahead and I had a plain piece of paper and I laid it on top. And I actually trimmed from the outside so I could see it. And then, as you can see, it lines up pretty well. Now, I'm not super patient and I don't want to make you wait through a whole tutorial waiting for glue to dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tape my paper down. Now, you can actually do your drawing, especially if you're using Sharpie or a black marker and you wanted to keep it, just very simple. You can draw right on that cardboard. I'm only going to show you this step if you're interested in having your colors be a little more vibrant and pop out, if you wanted to add color to your game board. So I took a piece of tape and I just rolled it up and I'm going to press it down. I'm really going to focus mainly on the corners. Okay, you don't really have to put anything towards the middle. As long as you get the corners, you should be in good shape. So here is my piece of tape. I'm folding it one way, folding it the other. And I'll try and flatten that as much as possible. Okay, and I'll do that on all four corners. And I like that it will just instantly be ready for us. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure everything is smooth and I have no bubbles in my paper. So I'm just gonna pat that down on the edges. And you might find it needs another little trim at the end, which is fine, okay? I did happen to have a couple extra boards that I'm going to hold on to in case something doesn't work out perfectly. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, because you want a nice strong outline in your board, is you want to either create, like I said, a map of point A to point B, and I'm doing the most simplified version. You can obviously, make it your own, but this is the most basic format. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my first box over here, just a small rectangle, and I'm going to wind it around like a little trail and just some wavy lines here, and put my finish line here. So just to make it simple, I'm just going to put start and end. Now, just as an example, if you were going to do something with a, theme having to do with airplanes, you might want to write, takeoff and landing, something like that. Or you might want to, choose whatever your theme is, use words that make sense for yours. I'll just use start and end so that it would make sense for everybody. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start to mark off my spaces, and I am trying to make them about the same size. They're not going to be really symmetrical because I made more of a winding path here, but I do want them to be pretty uniform or similar in size and shape. Okay. So again, this is the most basic. Now, what you can do, I was kind of thinking, because I had this extra space here, you can maybe make some spaces that are dead ends, you know, that don't go anywhere. And I might put, oh no, here. You know, you don't want to go that way. And then I'll just put some spaces this way. And then maybe one the other way. I might put oops. And I'm almost feeling like with the way that this is drawing, it kind of makes me feel like it's Dr. Seuss based. So another thing I want to point out is that you can obviously make this game board for maybe a younger sibling, or, you know, someone younger who might enjoy it and choose something that they might like a Dr. Seuss character or something like that. So that's the first, from point A to point B. Okay, that's the first game board that you can try. The other type of game board would be, and again, you can do this right on your cardboard, it would be a collection. So what we're going to do is, we talked a little bit about concentric shapes, meaning one shape inside the other. So it would just be a circle in the center, and then a circle on the outside. And then you're going to have these radiating lines, and I'm just moving my page as I go. And it almost has like a sun shape here. Okay. And then from there, you may have a collection of materials in the middle that everyone's able to draw from. Okay. So these are just two of the bases as far as getting your board set up. Another thing you might want to think about if you don't have a piece of cardboard is maybe an old folder or something like that. So again, the goal this week is to really decide on our form, what type of game we'd like to create, and try to find something as a backup to make the board attached. Okay, so next time we're going to talk a little bit more about what we'll decide on for our theme or our topic of our board. And what I'd like you to think about for, you know, the time until we meet again is the type of things that you're into, whether it's a sport, a hobby, a type of video game, a movie, books, anything. There's so many types of inspiration that you can use, and symbols and patterns and colors and effects that we're going to add to our board. So I'd like you to think about that for the next time so we're ready to decorate. Thanks for joining me.